Welcome to our community. Susie Thomas with you this morning. We are talking kidney donation today. We've got three people from different perspectives on the subject. We've got, first of all, Anna Ginnis, who is with the National Kidney Foundation. Good morning.
Good morning.
We've also got Lauren here, who was a donor. Good morning to you, Lauren.
Good morning.
And we have Sheila, who is waiting for a kidney. Good morning.
Good morning.
So we will get stories from three completely different views and find out how important this truly is. First of all, Anna, how important are our kidneys?
Oh my gosh, they're incredibly important to our overall function of the human body, our well-being. It is the kidneys are so imperative in making red blood cells. They're imperative in balancing our fluids, balancing our blood pressure, keeping our bones healthy. Unfortunately, our kidneys often get ignored, or they're not the heart. They're not the lungs that a lot of people talk about, but the kidneys are so incredibly important. And what's really fascinating to understand too is that a lot of people who pass from cardiac arrests actually really have chronic kidney disease, and they don't know it. Because most people who have CKD, they because of the toxins that are built up in your body, because your kidneys aren't filtered correctly, it will cause a lot of blockage in your arteries and your heart, and you'll actually pass from cardiac arrest than you will from actual, prolonged kidney damage.
But if you had been taking care of your kidneys the way they need to be taken care of, that does impact your heart, then.
Absolutely.
What's good for our kidneys?
So exercise, a healthy, balanced diet. It's really not rocket science. It's all the stuff that you hear about maintaining a good, balanced diet. Keeping your salt intake low, not smoking, exercising. What's really important, too, that a lot of people don't know is not taking chronic NSAIDs, anti-inflammatory drugs. So you don't want to be taking ibuprofens chronically. Those do damage your kidneys. Stuff like Motrin as well can be really damaging to the kidneys. Now, that's not to say that if you have a headache or a pain, you can't take it, once a week or whatever the case might be, but we're talking about chronic. And that's really what we focus at the National Kidney Foundation, really the awareness, prevention, and treatment of chronic kidney disease, which is really irreversible kidney damage.
What's bad for our kidneys, other than some of the things that you've said? Are there just some things that we really salt, you mentioned? I've heard trying to hold it and not going to the bathroom when you have to go to the bathroom. I've heard that's bad for the kidneys.
Well, that goes both ways. But
it's also not good to not hold it sometimes. But anyway, tell me, what is bad? What should we not do?
So for particularly what we really want to be doing is if you have high blood pressure, staying on your medication and making sure that you're sticking to your regimen, following your physician's instructions. If you have diabetes, making sure that whether you're taking insulin or whether you're taking medication, to make sure that you stay on that. By not following your doctor's instructions, that is bad. You need to make sure that all your levels are right, because diabetes and high blood pressure are the two leading causes of chronic kidney disease, followed by a third of family inheritance. So you really want to make sure that the things you can prevent, which are diabetes, if you have type 2, and high blood pressure, that you at least maintain a baseline for those things, so as to not, get worse, so as to not damage your kidneys.
Well, as we're talking about kidney donation today, I think people would be hearing this and say, wait, I need my kidneys. I can't donate my kidney to somebody. How many kidneys do we need? And how do you function without them? And Lauren, I'm going to be interested in hearing your side of this as well.
Yeah.
But first of all, statistically.
Oh my gosh, what a great question. So everybody ideally is born with two kidneys. They're about the size of your fist. They're located in your lower back. And we only need one kidney to survive. That is
so
all you
God
need.
gave us a spare.
God gave us a spare, and we should be giving it to others who need it.
Yeah.
So if there's one message we could take away from today's radio interview is, please, if you are able to and are healthy, seek out and call your transplant center, call your hospital, talk to your doctor. If you can be a living donor and save somebody's life, do it now while you are alive. One thing that people don't know is that if someone who is in need of a kidney receives a kidney from a living donor, they are 5 or 6 times as likely to have that kidney accepted by their body than if they receive an organ from a deceased donor.
Anyone,
Yeah.
any living donor, you have more of a chance
You
of.
have way more of a chance. The statistics usually with a deceased donor, a kidney may last, 5 to 10 years. Now, it has happened that there are kidneys that last 22 years. So I'm just talking very baseline here. But with the average living donor, you start at like 15 years, 10 to 15 years with a living donor as a minimum. So people can, it really makes a big difference.
Yeah.
So be proactive and change somebody's life.
It's gotten to be almost like the phrase that's used frequently when you are talking about somebody asking for a high amount of something, a big dedication to something. I've heard people say, come on, I'm not asking for a kidney. That becomes, almost like a phrase said glibly. However, Lauren, you gave somebody your kidney.
Yes.
Okay. Was this someone you knew? What prompted you to donate one of your kidneys to a person?
Yes, this was a friend of mine, and I tell the story that this opportunity, as I'll call it, has come up in my life a couple of times. Early on in my career, I did have a coworker who had to stop working, and she needed a kidney, and that was my first glimpse into what that's like, and being on dialysis and how hard that was for her to have to stop working. And I really thought, how can I help her? I would love to donate my kidney. I didn't have a lot of education about it at that point, and I had a very young child who was 2. And I couldn't wrap my brain around it, really. Later in my career, another coworker went through the process of donating for her husband. At that time, I had 3 children, and I just probably talked her ear off about what she was going through, the entire process, how long it would take to recover, watched her go through it, come back to work, and be better than she was before.
Wow.
So by the time this opportunity arose, this is a good friend of mine who I've known for years and years, and I saw his wife at the grocery store, and she started telling me how bad things had gotten. And I said, I'm happy to get tested and see where we can go with this. And she just, you don't need to do that.
That seems to be the response, isn't it?
I think
come
it is.
on, don't hang
Right.
on to your kidneys.
Right. And he called me very upset. You don't need to do this. And he was funny because this is one of my favorite lines. I laughed and laughed. He said, I heard you ran into my wife at the grocery store at the kidney counter and that you're actually willing to, So I laughed and laughed, and he makes me laugh, my recipient. And he had to meet with me again to just talk to me and make sure that I didn't feel maybe, I don't know, guilted into it or... I think in the end, what I had to tell him was that I love you, but a lot of this is more about me and my own restitution than it is really about you.
Just
it could
felt
be
called to
anyone.
do it.
Yes. It could have been anyone.
Tell me about what kind of testing you had to go through. And let me ask, is mental health testing a part of it?
Yes, it is. It's a very big part of it, and perhaps the biggest roadblock for myself. I am a very healthy person. I've never smoked. All the tests I flew with flying colors. However, I did struggle with depression, postpartum depression, especially after my 3rd child. So not only myself, but my husband we had to not only see the psychologist, a social worker, a psychologist a second time, and a psychiatrist to get reports, family dynamics, just a lot of, I think any major surgery, you are at risk for falling back into depression. So for me, that was probably the biggest risk.
Sure. So you are cleared, ready for takeoff.
I was cleared and we were ready for takeoff.
Do you ask yourself, what have I done?
Never.
Never did.
In fact, I would say it's the single most wonderful thing that I've ever done in my life that I feel really good about.
Well, a couple things come to mind. First of all, this week, another couple of people that are both friends of mine, where a male gave his kidney to a female friend of all of ours. You were giving your kidney to a male friend. Evidently, male-female kidneys are not that different in sizes, so that they're interchangeable. Yes? Somebody... I'm seeing a shaking of a head.
No, so, anybody, we've had people donate kidneys that were male to female, old, young, different races, different backgrounds. I mean, kidneys are all pink on the inside, and we're all one color and one brand, if you can say that, on the inside. So every kidney counts.
That's just fascinating. Did you notice any lifestyle change for yourself? How's life with only one kidney, Lauren?
It's fantastic, and I would have to say that I feel healthier than I did prior to donating.
Do you have to do anything special? How long was your recovery and so forth, and did you have to do anything special?
So I was in the hospital for 4 days. The surgery was on a Tuesday. I went home Friday night, and I was tired for probably about 6 weeks. I did small things after maybe 3 weeks and would come home a little bit tired. But after that, it was like I never did anything different.
You don't notice any difference?
Not at all.
That's fascinating. What about insurance? Because for a person who needs a kidney, that is a necessary operation. For a person who's donating a kidney, that's completely voluntary. You might as well be getting plastic surgery. Did you get any kind of help financially, or is there any help financially for a donor?
My experience was that his insurance covered everything. Wow. I did not pay a cent.
Wow. And that seems to be pretty typical?
Yes, that is typical. There's also, a donor's, a recipient's insurance will cover all the costs
for both people.
For both people, yes. Beyond that, there is financial assistance for folks who need it through the National Living Donor Assistance Program, which provide reimbursement to travel and other subsistence expenses to people who are being evaluated. But for the most part, insurance really covers it all.
This is very interesting. I think we just don't realize all of this. You know, it's just, is there a place to go for more information if this is really striking a chord with somebody?
Absolutely. So you can visit, you could visit kidney.org for additional information and look up living donation. We also have, you can also email bigask@kidney.org or visit kidney.org/living donation because the National Kidney Foundation has a comprehensive living donation and transplant campaign and workshop called The Big Ask, The Big Give, in which we educate folks who are currently on the transplant list and those who are investigating whether they should be living donors themselves on how to move forward with that process. And I think Lauren nailed it right on the head earlier when she said education is so incredibly important. I think a lot of people are just scared about it. I think that their quality of life might go lower, that their financial ability will go, that their mental health will be affected. And I think from every person who has given a kidney that I've met with, I've seen that their mental health has improved. That they feel a sense of purpose, that they've done something for the greater good. And so, I urge people to really, really investigate it. There's a lot more pros to being a living donor than there are not doing it.
We're visiting with Anna Ginnis from the National Kidney Foundation, also Lauren, who is a donor, Sheila, who is almost on the list, and we're going to be back with them after these words. You're listening to Our Community.